Recently, I dusted off one of the first cameras that I ever bought, and I went out to rediscover the reasons why I fell in love with photography. Over the past few months, I've been feeling a little bit uninspired, and I think that's just something that comes with having photography as a career. You start to see photography as something that just makes you money and pays the bills rather than something that you love doing. But today, I wanted to give you 7 reasons why I think shooting one single roll of film will completely change your mindset on photography and help you get your creativity back. Modern cameras have so much technology built into them, and honestly, when I am taking my camera to a job, this is perfect because I can focus on exactly what the client wants and I don't have to worry too much about my camera settings, and if I do mess it up, I can fix it in post. It really is pretty ideal when it comes to making money. However, it does take a lot of the fun out of photography. If you think about it, it's a lot like cars and driving. Anyone that really loves driving will tell you that driving an old car without lane assist, without automatic braking and everything like that, that is the best way to drive. You get to feel the road, you get to enjoy the car as the car was built to be. Now, all of the modern technology is really great in modern cars for people that just want to get to work and they don't really care about driving. But if you love driving cars, you just want to go back to basics. And it's the same with photography. If you meet someone who shoots with a Leica M6, they will probably tell you that having only 4 things, a film speed, an aperture control, shutter speed control, and a focusing mechanism, they will tell you that them 4 things really help you focus on the things that matter in photography. But what if you don't have enough money to buy a Leica camera? I know that I don't. I've definitely looked at them before, and I've definitely thought maybe if I buy this $5 grand Leica M6 with a lens, I'll be a better photographer. But really, we don't need that. That's just our brains telling us that we want something that looks really cool, because to be honest, they do look pretty cool. So recently I got thinking about this and I remembered that I have this Fuji STX1 upstairs in a drawer collecting dust. This was my first ever camera, and I bought it to go to art college because when we started the course, we needed a manual camera. They didn't want us to have autofocus or anything like that. They wanted us to shoot on a manual camera. So I bought this off eBay for, I think it was about £10. So much like an M6, it's fully manual and has a light meter built in. So really the only thing that you need to focus on is exposing correctly and taking the photo. I recently took this camera on a couple of walks and I didn't really have super high expectations. I mean, I wanted to use the camera because I haven't used it in a while, but I was blown away by how much I truly enjoyed just having a camera that I had to do everything on myself. Now it's worth mentioning that there are hundreds of manual film SLRs and the majority of them are quite cheap. Some of them are pretty hyped up like the Nikon F3 or the Canon AE1. But to be honest with you, those, as far as I'm aware, do have like aperture priority or program modes, which will do some of the work for you. And to be honest, for me, that kind of defeats the point of using them. All of these fully manual old SLRs tend to be pretty cheap, usually around the £40 or £50 mark, and most of them come with a 50mm lens. This one has a 50mm 1.9 lens, and I also have this 28mm 2.5 Tamron lens that I picked up for, I can't remember how much, but not a lot of money. So let's get on to the 7 reasons why I really truly believe that shooting a single roll of film will completely change your mindset. Firstly, it helps you to slow down and think about the shots that you are taking. I know for a fact with my digital camera, if I see something, I will just point it and just start taking photos. I know that if I've got it on aperture priority mode, I'll get a really decent picture from it. However, if you take a random photo with this camera, chances are it's not going to be in focus and it's going to either be under or overexposed. You need to meter your shot, which means that you look through the viewfinder and half press the shutter, and a little needle in the viewfinder will tell you whether you're under or overexposed. You then need to decide on your settings that you want in order to balance out that exposure. Now, this is something that your camera does in something like 0.0001 second or something like that. But in real life, it takes more like 5 to 10 seconds. So it gives you opportunity to breathe and stop what you're doing and think truly about the shot that you are taking. You think about your shots more because they cost you so much money. So for this second point, we really do need to address the elephant in the room, which is that film is not cheap. However, there is an advantage to film costing so much money. Each photo that you take costs about 80 pence to £1. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have that much money to be going around just firing off shots on film like I'm, some sort of millionaire. Every single time that I point my camera at something when I'm using this, I've got to think to myself, is this shot worth £1? Now, this one question helps me to take more meaningful shots and also helps me to have the confidence to adjust my scene. For example, if you are taking a portrait of someone and their hat, for example, is in the wrong place, or they have a hair over their face, or they're stood in a way that you think looks not perfect and they could stand a little bit better, on digital, you're more likely to just take that photo and worry about it in post. Whereas on film, that shot is costing you money, so before I waste my money, let's adjust the frame. We can make this the best shot where they will get the best shot from you and you will get the best shot for your money. So this third point I feel like is maybe the most important, and it is that the photos mean more to you because more effort has gone into them. Often when I get photos back from the lab, it takes me back to the moment that I shot them and makes me remember about the effort that I put into taking that shot. And it makes me really feel happy that I did put that effort in. There is also a risk with film, especially using older cameras, that there's going to be mistakes, whether the camera has messed up the exposure somehow, or whether you have got the settings wrong, or whether you haven't focused properly. And having that risk of mistake really is part of the beautiful process of shooting film, because sometimes you get it back and you're like, I messed that up. It feels more like a game, and while that's not ideal, the shots that do come out, you really appreciate them because you are like, yes, I did it, buzzing, I got that right. This is especially important when you don't know that much about photography, and shooting manual is a big scary thing. If you can get your photos back and your photos look great, you can be so proud of yourself that you have actually done something the hard way rather than let the camera do the work for you. You get the excitement of waiting for your shots. If you are taking a photo on digital, you get to see it on the back of your camera. It's almost like an instant moment, and then this is what I've just done, let's do it again. I don't really know how to explain it, but when you get a shot back on film, it feels a lot more like a memory. And as we all know, feeling nostalgic about stuff just always feels great, even if it is something that only happened a week ago. The excitement of having to wait for photos, while it can be a little bit frustrating because you just want to see them, makes it so much more worth it when you get the photos. And I have never looked through a bunch of film photos that I've been sent by a lab, not had a big smile on my face, even when the photos haven't been that good. Film can be very unpredictable, and I think that honestly that is part of the beauty of it. This camera especially, I haven't had it serviced I've never had it serviced, and I don't know who owned it before me. I bought it off eBay. It probably hasn't been serviced in a very long time. If I leave filming it for ages, I get light leaks on the photos. Sometimes the photos aren't in focus, even though I know on the camera I have focused them. But sometimes having the subject out of focus kind of makes a nice, beautiful photo. It makes it feel more artistic. I don't know if that's just an edgy thing to say, but I do feel like having some of that unpredictability and the shot being imperfect and the shot not looking like a digital photograph, whether it be like film grain or a color shift or the film's being faded because it's on an expired roll, that for me is part of shooting film. And you can tell that it's a universally loved thing, because how many phone apps do you know that make photos look like film? They make them faded, they put dust on them. Like, everyone loves that look, and with film you don't need to fake it, you just get that look anyway. This leads on perfect to our next point, which is that you don't need to edit film photos. They already look beautiful straight out of the camera. Whereas I think a lot of the time with digital cameras, I mean, not so much the Fuji ones, but like Sony cameras, Canon cameras, the colours look great straight out of the camera, but they look very digital and true to life. They don't really have that magic to them. But film photos do straight out of camera. You don't need to spend ages in Lightroom to get that look. The final point is having physical prints. Now, I know that you can get prints of digital photos, but you are more likely to get prints of film photos just because it's something that the lab usually offers you when you go in and take your film in. I especially think physical prints are important with film photography because when you get to hold them in your hand, you really think about the entire process of that photo. Everything that has gone into making that print is something that you've done, apart from obviously getting it printed. And I really feel like it feels more like a piece of art rather than just a photo that you took on your phone or something like that. It really feels so satisfying holding that in your hand, especially one that you've put so much effort into. I really do think that everyone in their lifetime should at least shoot one roll of film, and the best time to do that would be right now because the price of film is only going up. I don't really feel like you need to go out and buy your own film camera. I mean, I'll speak for myself here. If someone, like one of my friends or someone that I knew, asked me if they could use my camera, I would more than happily lend them my film camera. And I think a lot of other film photographers that had a few cameras lying around would probably let you use theirs too, unless maybe it was a Leica M6. I wouldn't expect anyone to lend me a Leica M6, but if someone wants to, that's great, you can, just saying. I hope you feel at least a little bit inspired after watching this video. If you do, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button and the like button and maybe just drop a comment below. I hate saying that because every YouTuber just says that, but it really does help the channel grow and helps me to make more content like this in the future. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time.